Hello everyone, it's Veronica and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is actually going to be a book on haul and also a discussion on booktube consumerism and the fact that although 1 year ago I was like, I'm not going to buy that many books when I get to Hawaii, I'm going to read more library books, which I actually have been. I'm gonna read and then buy if I want to. Wrong. I went totally against that. I ended up buying so many books, and as you can tell from the thumbnail, that's how many books that I am unhauling today. Probably 100, probably 200. I don't actually know, but I will actually be showing you the exact number that I'm unhauling at the very end of the video, so do stay tuned to actually know how much I ended up unhauling, because it's a lot. You guys saw the pile. You guys saw the pile. I will be separating this into parts. First off, consumerism. Yep, that's right. I'm going to talk about that first because I've succumbed and I regret everything. Next, I'll actually be talking about all the books that I unhauled. I'm going to try and keeping this video at a minimum, but I'm going to assume this is going to be 30 minutes. So yeah, and what I'm actually going to do is stop after every section, put it on my Notion, like catalog on my Notion. That being said, many of the books on my shelf are still unread, so if I do end up reading some of the books and then not liking it, or maybe I just know that I'm not going to reread it anymore, then absolutely, but that will be after this video. Let's talk about the consumerism part. For this past year, I've shockingly been in Hawaii for 1 year already. It's still a shock to me. And in, I think, May, I don't know when, on my 1 year anniversary of being on BookTube, I talked about BookTube consumerism and how I wasn't going to buy any more books in Hawaii. And look at me. 2 shelves later, I did a bookshelf reorganization, and many of those books are on the floor, as you saw in the thumbnail. Many of these books, like I said, are unread. Some of it I actually have read, and they're my favorites, but I have succumbed to the fact that I just kept buying and buying and buying, and just reaching that level of like filling my shelves to the very brim, just having it filled, double stacked even. And then these past few days I looked at it and was like, what the heck am I doing? I actually didn't feel very good about my shelves and hated the way they looked. I realized so many of these books I'm just not really that interested in anymore. That being said, although I am getting rid of these, because I bought them, I am gonna force myself to read it. I started to actually feel very guilty about and just hating my shelves a lot. Looking at it now, I'm really proud of myself. I've cut down on the books that I know do not give me happiness. Marie Kondoing the heck out of this library. And I know now that I don't need a library to be happy. Also, I might add, some of these books are going to my parents, so outside in the living room. Just hating the way I felt about it, just spending more money, regretting it. Not really regretting the books that I buy, just regretting how much I spent after the month has ended. I hate that feeling. You know what I mean? And I'm not using my parents' money, I'm using my own money. So this is all coming from my own income, from, you know, what I earn from my job. And slowly it's just not making me feel good, you know? So in this past hour, I just took down every single book that I was like, no, I'm not gonna keep. Living on my own has definitely taught me that I don't need that many stuff. Living in Singapore, I didn't even have this many books. Like, I probably had half of what I am unhauling right now. I only had, I think, 6 shelves, and this is 10 shelves total. 10 plus 2 technically, so 12 total shelves in this room versus Singapore, where I only had 6. Did I have 6? I actually don't remember, but I'm gonna roughly say 6 to 8. So almost half of what I have now. Most of it also was my parents' books that were in my shelf in my room, just because this was a family home. I grew up in it, right? But now these are all my books, and I realize that it does not make me happy. I don't feel happy about it. So, and I'm also happy to buy it on Kindle or borrow it on Kindle or create Amazon wish lists, like the lists of books that I enjoyed and I'm willing to buy on Kindle or buy physically. You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogel. I love this book. I actually gave it a 4-star originally, but could not stop thinking about it, and ended up buying it because I ended up giving it 5 stars. I changed my mind, gave it 5 stars, and I do actually want to reread this. I'm definitely planning on rereading this. So this is what I mean. I first read it on my Kindle. This was the very first book I read on my Kindle for the very first time, and I ended up loving it, and I ended up buying it. That's the mindset that I would really like to go through every single time from now on after this Unhaul. The first thing I would think is like, is it accessible with my library, or do I have to buy it on Kindle? Or can I read the audiobook? Like, can I use a credit on Audible or Libro FM? Or can I read it from the library through audiobook? It really depends, and that's what I want to do. Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie Cole. I bought this physically, actually, and I did a reading vlog on it. I'll link it in the cards, but I bought it physically, and I actually bought the audiobook with credit on Libro FM, and I fell in love with it so much. I ended up annotating it, and I would actually love to reread this book. It was just a 5-star, and I really enjoyed it. This is another instance where I bought the physical book, but ended up loving it so much. So, another good example. Next, BookBox subscriptions. I'm slowly going through all my BookBox subscriptions, seeing, do I want to keep this subscription or do I not want to keep it? Some of the duplicates I have is just because I accidentally, I got it from one subscription box and then got it from another. It's complicated and problematic. So that's why I've stopped Owl Crate, I've stopped Unplugged BookBox, I've stopped the Ripped Bodice, which is the Read Romance Repeat BookBox. Right now I have mostly digital subscriptions, Scribd, Audible, Libro FM, Kindle Unlimited. That's all I can think of, as well as my library cards. This is just a message to me in the future to read this, to watch this, clip, and to relearn my lesson if I ever come to this situation ever again. I don't ever want to go through this uncomfortable feeling I have from looking at my shelves. These next few days, I'm going to hop to the library back and forth. I'm gonna try, especially since it's summer, I'm gonna try at least going every day, except for Sundays because they're closed, but at least every day to just drop off a bag of books. So just the sheer stupidity that I have gone through this past year, actually. From now on, I'm gonna think twice of what I buy physically. Anyway, now let's get to the section where I actually talk about all the books that I am actually selling or donating to the library. Okay, hello. I have moved places. I have my laptop here. My cat is very curious. I'm gonna go through all the books that I plan on actually giving to my parents, putting it outside. I think my mom personally would be very interested in reading herself. The first book that I'm giving to my parents are actually all by Amor Towles. I don't know how to, sorry, I really apologize. First is The Lincoln Highway. I do very much want to read this. It's very much I would love to read this. A Gentleman in Moscow. And then the third one is Rules of Civility. Those are the first 3 books that I'm going to be putting into my parents' library. Next is The Choice, Embrace the Possible, a memoir by Dr. Edith Eva Eger. This one is a memoir. I literally just said it in the title. I do want to read this. It's actually very much on my list to read, but I don't want it on my shelves. And I think maybe my parents will be interested in this. So, memoir, they could be interested. So I'm giving this to them. Next, actually, my dad bought a copy of Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner, but I told him to return it back to Amazon because I had a copy. So I am putting this outside. I would like to read this. This is also a memoir, just not anytime soon. The next book is Those Who Wish Me Dead by Michael Corita? I don't know. Actually, this was a movie with Angelina Jolie, and I loved it. My mom and I really enjoyed it. I actually very much would like to read it soon, but I'm not going to put it on my shelves. I really, like I said, want to curate my own personal library, and my dad actually has a library of his own, so you know, this could go onto his shelves instead. Next, I have 2 Book of the Month books, both by the same author, Simone St. James. This is The Sundown Motel, which is very much I'm really excited for, and then the Book of Cold Cases. I have read The Broken Girls, and it's somewhere, but I'm also putting that outside for my mom to read. She loves like the murder mysteries kind of things, and so I think after I read this, I think she would very much enjoy this. So I'm going to be putting this outside. But I'm actually really excited. I do very much enjoy Simone St. James's writing, so I'm actually really excited to read this. So that is it for the first section. I'm going to catalog this, and then I'll meet you back. And then I also do need to change my battery. I forgot to add a book because it was on my desk, and I'm actually going to read it next. But it's Love and Fury by Samantha Silva. This is a historical fiction about a woman who's a midwife. That's right. And this actually is really exciting, and I would love to keep it on my shelf, but I also think my mom may be interested in it, so I am giving it to their library technically. But this is actually going to be my next read. I actually have a duplicate copy of this, but this is King of Battle and Blood by Scarlett St. Clair. I have all of her books, never read them. This one is actually kind of a special edition because this is from the Unplugged book box and does have the signed bookplate sticker, and it has a special like bonus scene at the very end. I just don't really have any plans really wanting to keep it. I wanted to keep it because this really interested me, and I was gonna read it, but then now I'm just like, I don't really want to keep it on my shelves. I've heard good things about it. I haven't heard any bad things yet, but just don't know if I really want to keep it on my shelves. Hey guys, I just want to basically come on here and end this video. It's actually August and I filmed this early July, which is kind of funny. I didn't actually do an outro, so I'm doing it here now. I do want to mention that I actually was able to unhaul around 200 plus books. That being said, I'm still very much buying books. I'm just actively making sure I am knowing what I buy and also what I like. I'm curating, you know, the books that I actually enjoy. Excuse me. I'm going through all of these, and I've kind of made an executive decision that every month I'm gonna make sure I go through my shelves and unhaul any of the books that I want to get rid of. So I have a box besides my front door, and I basically, you know, I read them and say, oh, do I really want to keep it? And if I don't, then I'll unhaul. I actually kind of went through all of the books, but then this video was going to be way too long, so I do want to mention that, yeah, I was able to unhaul 200 plus books. You can see it in the thumbnail. I'll put a picture, like a general large picture for you guys to see, and to see how much I actually unhauled. It was amazing. I spent like 3 or 4 days bringing so many bags to this place called Friends of the Library Warehouse, where you actively, you know, donate your books, your old movies, all of that. You can donate rare books, so that's really cool. Luckily, I was able to catalog pretty much almost all the books. I had major buyer's guilt when I was filming this video, and you know, occasionally I still look at my shelves and say, you know, I'd like to change a few things. I am still buying books, but just not as much as I used to. I'm actually noticing how much I've cut down from like before and then now after, so I'm seeing like the really big difference of how much I actually spent, which is actually a really good thing. Like, I'm so glad that I've been able to see such a big difference to my library, and I've actually pushed myself to read more physical books that I own. I'm actually taking more advantage of like my ebooks or audiobooks. I must say it felt really good to unhaul many of these books. I actually went through this dilemma with Kingdom of the Wicked and Kingdom of the Cursed by Carrie Maniscalco, where I actually unhauled it and gave it to the friends of the library, but then I actually read it, gave it 5 stars, annotated it on my Kindle, and actually ended up buying another copy of both books. I unhauled everything, by the way. Now I know that, I'm not buying randomly now. I'm buying calculated books that I actually want to read or reread again. Although I bought Kingdom of the Wicked twice, I call it a good decision, and if I ever, read a book that I unhauled in this video and buy it again, I'm gonna call it a good decision and say, it's okay, I bought it twice, that's okay. I know people are gonna be like, Veronica, you just wasted thousands of dollars. I don't know, right? I know. In the end, it's the guilt that I had from buying all of these books that I had to get rid of these books. And yes, I'm buying it, but I know that these don't feel guilty to me, that buying Kingdom of the Wicked twice this time around doesn't feel guilty to me, because I actually loved these books and I actually enjoyed these books. So yes, I untold it the first time, but to me, I like to think of it as getting rid of that guilt that I had from buying all of these books and them going to a better, happier home to people who want to read these books. I'm happy with the fact that I donated all of these books, and if I end up buying a book from the pile again, it's okay. It is okay, and I'm happy with my decision. I know many people are going to complain about it in the comments why I'm doing this, but ultimately I got rid of that guilt and I'm happy with that. I feel better. I feel happier with the fact that I unhauled all of these books. I really do want to say thank you guys so much for coming to my video. If you do enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and also hit the subscribe button down below. Thank you guys so much for just being here. If you guys did enjoy this video, if you guys did stay until this very end, comment this book stack. Let's go with the book stack for unhauling, if you will. And if you stayed till the very end, seriously, thank you guys so much for coming. If you guys do enjoy this video, like I said, give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'll see you guys all next week for another video. I post every Saturday. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'll see you guys all next week. Bye.